happy to know you're still there. The program is Breakfast Weekend. And on this segment, we'll be discussing a menace that is widespread in Nigeria. This menace is domestic violence, and like I said, it is widespread. Sadly, it shows no sign of lessening. It could come in different forms. It could be physical, sexual, emotional, or even mental. Another sad fact is that it is not limited to any ethnic, religious, or cultural group. But we won't be discussing this in abstract today. We have a guest, and our guest is a survivor of domestic violence. She'll be taking us through some of her experiences and how she was able to come out on the other side. She is Ambassador Hilda Ehidiamen Esagbedo. Thank you for joining us on Breakfast Weekend.
Thank you so
I
much.
hope I got the name correctly.
You did.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You were married for 12 years
Yes,
to someone who serially abused you. When did you start seeing the signs after you got married that something was wrong?
Well, to be frank, I started seeing the signs even before
You got married.
I got married.
Okay.
And because I was pregnant,
Okay.
I felt I had to go through, the
Okay.
marriage. I felt, okay, I'm already pregnant, and I grew up with a single mom. My father died very early, and my mom didn't remarry. And I didn't want my kids to grow up in a single mom setting. So I'm like, well, it's my cross, let me go into it. And I remember while I was pregnant, we're coming on from location, we're in the movie industry then. It still is off the screen. So it was just nagging and going like that. I just got down from the location bus and I'm like, the next vehicle should just kill me. I was still pregnant. I was pregnant, for my first child. So it has always been there.
What was he complaining about?
Everything. With an abusive man, there's no winning. If you're smiling too much. If you're not smiling, you're frowning. If you're laughing, there's really nothing. This moment, because you can't predict his movement. You can't predict his thinking. So you're like, what do I do? You're like, every day you're sitting on the gunpowder. So it's not a pleasant place to be at all.
But at that time, you didn't know that it was a big deal. Or did you know then? I think to me it looks now like men complain sometimes about things.
Yeah.
Was that how it looked to you, or did you know that there was something deeper at play?
I didn't think there was something deeper. I just felt, I don't know. I just felt I was the one with the problem. I needed to improve. I needed to be a better woman. I needed to be a wife because I wasn't even prepared to be married. And it wasn't really like a marriage, like, like family meeting family. We just went to the registry. Because in my place, I come from Edo State, you don't pay dowry on a woman that's pregnant. So we're like, let's just go to the registry and just... So it was just me and a couple of friends. We just walked in there. So the whole thing wasn't like a marriage kind of thing. And I wasn't even ready. But I just got pregnant. I'm like, okay, let me just go. And then when he was complaining, I just felt, maybe I just needed to work on myself. It was later that I knew that, man, this is a big deal.
How long did it take for you to... I want to know how long it took you to realize this is the problem, and it wasn't you. How long did it take you to realize that?
Recently, you won't believe it.
Wow.
After
Recently,
the marriage?
Yes, after I got married to someone else, and the abuse continued. Even when I left him and I was still doing I started my NGO stuff, I still sometimes I'll be like, maybe it was me. It's not something you get over. So when, the woman kept calling me,
the new wife, his new wife.
Yeah. Ngozi, well, she has left with 2 children. And the whole thing continued. I'm like, oh my, so it wasn't even me. You won't believe it until recently that I felt, okay, I felt this release, from the guilt of not making a marriage work after, she left. So it's a big deal. I'm sure, I keep telling people and they don't believe it. Some people do. If an abusive man gets married to an angel, he's still going to be abusive to the angel. There's nothing you do to please them. You can't please an abusive man.
Now, when it comes to that specific abuse, we know that there's kind of like a cycle that they talk about in abstract. Could you give us like a practical example of how it happens, then they come, but the general belief is that, okay, the person comes back, says, I'm sorry, and it goes on again. Could you give us like a practical example of some of what you experienced?
It's a cycle. I can't really come out to say this example. There are so many, 12 years of my life. I don't know how to put it because when in his own case, it was more of sex. I discovered later that it was a sexual addict. So if I don't give in, it was a problem. And then if I was seeing my period, it was a problem. You know, I remember one time that he actually was punching me for seeing my period. Why would you see your period? You know, so I don't know. I wouldn't say because it wasn't cooking, it wasn't keeping the house clean. It was more of, you know, that was his own. So every other thing that he was complaining about would be as a result of not getting
The sex.
the sex. So that was his own
Trigger.
Yeah, that was his own trigger.
In that time, in the 12-year period, family and friends, did you open up to anyone? How did they come in?
What a lot of people do not know is abusive men tend to take their victims away from the family and friends. They make sure you don't have any contact with them. They try to force you out of it or subdue you out of having any relationship with them so you don't complain. So I didn't have friends, my family, I didn't tell them about it. It was after I left that they knew why I left. I couldn't, why would I start? You know
But
what?
they would have noticed some changes.
They were not coming. It wasn't allowing them to come to the house. And I made it look like it wasn't my husband, that it was me. Thank you. So why would anybody bother to come and visit me when I wasn't receptive? So they were not coming. They didn't notice anything. When we go out, like I said earlier, we're in the movie industry. I'll be acting my thing and doing my thing. Nobody would know. Go out and smile and look all good and all that. So a lot of women that are being abused are very good actresses, natural actresses.
I know that in the movie industry, there's been a couple of women at present now who, recently, who came out to say that their husbands were abusive at some point. And I know that at least it looked like there was a level of support among their fellow actresses.
Yes.
Did you get something like that at that time?
No, when I was in the movie industry, it was years ago.
Okay.
It wasn't as, elaborate as it is now.
Okay.
So of course I didn't even talk about that. It was few producers that noticed, because when I was in other people's set, this guy would call and be screaming. This is someone that is in the industry that should know better. But be like, where is she? How long are you keeping her? Blah blah blah. So it was his own subtle way of depriving me of work. So producers were not calling me anymore. So I was out of the industry. So there was nothing like calling, like what is happening now, because I was not really allowed to be in the industry by him. So that was what.
So, at what point did you feel like, okay, this is something that you said you didn't even know it was serious?
Initially.
At what point did you know that, okay, this is an issue that I feel is something I may not be able to deal with? At what point did you come to that realization?
When my kids started growing up. When my son started telling me to go sleep with daddy so that we could sleep in the night. I looked at my son and I'm like, my daughter was free because, well, he loved her and all that. But for my son, then I think he was 4, to be telling me, Mommy, go sleep with daddy. I never discussed it with him. For him to have known at that age, I started talking to myself. I'm like, wait, what am I putting this boy through? Then another time when my son was like 12 and wanted to fight the father, because I was suicidal. There was a time I took, that day I took fuel. So I was throwing up and this man was still shouting at me, throwing up, and the boy couldn't hold it again. He was shouting, look at what you did to my mommy. He was shaking, about to, So the next day, and these people are cowards. Abusive men are cowards. I saw fear in him. Despite the fact that I was throwing up, I still looked up and I remember I saw fear, in him. And I'm like, God, so this guy can be scared. The next day was like, did you know your son actually, my son, actually would have fought me, wanted to fight me? I said, no, we don't fight you, we beat you up. You think it's every time somebody would want to sit down, watch you beat them, continue doing this to the mother. No, but can you stand it if somebody is doing this to your mom? So all those times I'm like, what am I putting my son through? So that's when I started thinking about it.
Normally when they talk about abusive marriages and abusive arrangements, they normally say that there are few spots or dots of normalcy. Okay, so he abuses the woman or the woman abuses the man today, and then maybe like another 2 days, everything is fine, everything is all smooth and lovey-dovey, and then all of a sudden it happens again. Did it happen like that as well?
Of course, that's their pattern now. Like I said, I mentioned it earlier on. I said you wouldn't know what triggers the whole thing, whether if you laugh or you smile and all that. So, and then they do lovey to confuse you. These men are just crazy. They need help. People don't know. That's why a lot of people just look at, why is she still there? Why is she not there? Because today is lovey, is buying gift for her, and tomorrow is something else. So man, it's crazy.
I'm also aware that at that time, I mean, we're talking about how many years ago now. At that time, there weren't enough advocacy for domestic violence as much as it is now. In fact, I think the only thing people talked about people who leave their marriages is you're going to be alone for the rest of your life. The man may even win the children over.
Yes.
So what motivated you to say I'm going to leave, and you left?
My children, especially my son.
How were you sure that they were going to come with you?
I knew I was going to steal them. I knew was I going to leave my kids? No, I wasn't. And then there's another thing that women that are abused do. If you ask a lot of them, they leave and come back. So in the course of the 12 years, I must have left like 7-8 times, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
You leave and the man comes begging. You need to see my ex-husband begging me to come back with tears, and that kind of cries that Kata will be running off the nose. I'm telling you. There was a time I took him when I got stronger. When I left him, I took him to this. I don't want to call their name. They handle the stuff and all that. And then when my case was called, this man he didn't even talk. He knelt down and kept quiet. Kept crying. And the women, women with our sentiments were like, Madam, we've never seen this kind of a thing before. Forgive him. Go. I said, you go live with him. Those are the days that I used to beg. Listen to all this. So they don't allow. I don't know why. If you say, because what they do is they strip the women of their self-worth. They call her all sort of names and all that. And why not allow her go if she's not good enough? But they don't even allow the women to go. I left repeatedly and it kept. But the final straw was that time when my son, I think that was the period when my son, wanted, and then I started my NGO by the side, talking to women while I was still there, and then that was helping me to heal. So I'm like, I don't need to be here. I was much more than that. I started realizing myself that I had to leave.
When you were going to leave, finally at that point that you were talking about, how were you financially? Because I know one of the reasons some women stay is because they're
most women.
Yes, they're not independent financially. They have to depend on them for money and
you were not able to get roles anymore because of this.
I wasn't working.
So how were you able to cope?
I didn't have anything. I just left.
And went to where?
Came to Ibadan.
You knew someone in Ibadan then?
Nobody. The story is so funny. I met a lady I lost my kid sister.
Okay.
My good friend. And I couldn't stay because she would come from school, stay in the house. I couldn't. The whole thing was. So he suggested go to Port Harcourt and stay with his only sister anyway. And that was the first time I was meeting the sister. I told you guys there was nothing like family stuff. So I went there, met the lady, but I was still planning. I had my plans to leave. Because there was a time I actually talked to him. I'm like, this is not working, let's leave. That guy gave me some punchy stuff. Where are you going to? What did you say? You want to leave? No, I'm not leaving anymore. So I just knew there was no talking to him. I had to leave. So coming back from Port Harcourt, going to Lagos, we were talking about how expensive Port Harcourt was, blah, blah, blah. And then there's this lady that was talking about Ibadan, but it's so cheap, I live in a duplex, blah, blah, blah. So when we got down for refreshment, I walked up to her, I'm like, please, I need help. Help me with these 2 children. I need to stay, help me, can you help me? She said, yes, you would. And then I found I remember that day I was frying plantain, this man left. I just bundled my children. We passed through the back bush. We shall find our way, and I called this lady. I'm on the way. She said, keep coming, good. This rubbish, blah, blah, blah. By the time we got to Ibadan, the lady wasn't picking her calls anymore. 2 children, I had 700 naira. That was 2001. No, 2001. No, my son was walked up. 2007. She wasn't picking her calls anymore. No way, I didn't know anybody. I just called the taxi. I said, okay, take me to the government house because I don't know what to do. So I just started going around begging, honestly. Graduate, Nollywood, whatever. I'll pick my children, go to Mr. Nimes, eateries, beg. I was actually begging. I did that for a while. He came again to Ibadan, settled with me. I said, okay, let me
How did you know where to find you?
At the point when suffering was, when the suffering was beyond,
You reached out.
I had to reach out. No, he was looking for me. My mom, everybody were looking for me. I didn't tell them where I was. And I looked at these children. Let me share settle. I remained here. It continued here. That was 2007. I didn't even until 2017. You can imagine. So the whole thing kept going on and on until one day I just got an apartment. The guy gave me the beating. He didn't know about the apartment. And I was still there suffering. My son would say, let's go. What are you still doing here? I say, just think. So that day I cleared the whole place, locked the door. Finally he begged, later he threatened. And after a while he got used to it and told me I was going to come back to begging. Never did.
So if you were to give one word to maybe an abused woman watching right now, or even an abused man right now, on how they can leave an abusive arrangement, what's the one thing you say should be at the back of your mind that would keep them going till they go, or till they leave such a marriage?
One thing. More than one thing.
Okay, what are the things you'd say?
Well, first I would say life. Because you can't be a mother or a father to your children if you're not alive. A lot of women stayed back and we know what happened to them. They left in a coffin. So life, and don't wait till everything is okay. I didn't have any money, like I said, I had just 700 naira. Although I had someone that was supposed to, but the person did it and I still, you don't have to wait till everything is okay. Don't wait till you have a job, don't wait till, just leave. Find friends or support, whatever, but you just have to leave. It doesn't get better. It gets worse and worse and worse. You have to leave. That's what I would say.
Right. Thank you so much, Mrs.
you.
Ambassador
Ambassador
Hilda Idi Amin Esangbedo. It's been amazing, and we wish you even more. By the way, the last time I saw you, Esangbedo was not your name.
That's my father's name. It's a compound name.
Do you consider getting remarried? Do you ever think about it?
Of course.
Are you seeing someone?
There. I'm not seeing someone yet. I'm waiting for Dangote.
Very nice
It's
one.
my financial growth. So if you're watching and you know Dangote, just give me a call.
All right. Thank you so much once again for being on the show.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take another break now, and the last segment will be coming right up. Stay with us.